Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last episode, we came here to the bowels of the Shadow Temple, where we came across this boat with its very strange figurehead. And this is the ferry that will take us right into the very depths of the temple. But before that, we have something else to do. You will see there's a gold skulltula over there, and also Navi has flown over there green. And that means time to summon the 4 giants. And so indeed, using Pierre and the long shot specifically for this, though I think you can't get to this temple before you've done the water temple, because the first 3 temples you can kind of flick between in basically any order, but this one you literally, that scene with Sheik won't trigger until you've beaten all 3 of the previous ones, and I think until that point you can't get into the well as a child. Oh no, you can get into the well as a child, you can do all of that, you can get the Lens of Truth, but you don't learn the warping song. By the way here, Crest of the Royal Family, which of course means play Zelda's Lullaby. Yeah, you can't warp to Kakariko Graveyard, and without that you just can't get to the Shadow Temple at all. There's no way up there until you've learned the Nocturne of Shadow. Anyway, once we play this... Stealth, surprise. So Charon the Ferryman starts rowing you across the River Styx. It's very appropriate the day I'm filming this is the 1st of October, and we begin with the spookiest part of Ocarina of Time. Oh dear, oh god. Yeah, if you fall off this boat, I actually have no... Oh, fucking second Stealth Force, fuck off. You can just jab it by pushing these guys off, depending on how they're positioned. Ow! But generally, if you're targeting one, the other one tends to leave you alone, which is pretty handy. They certainly don't both attack you at the same time, which is nice. But this is quite a long section, as you can see, in terms of transit time, so you may as well just fight the Stalfos while you're waiting. Oh, I was just trying to do a thrust there, but I get... Oh! It's because the angle of the thing, I'm trying to do a side jump, but it's actually throwing me high enough into the air that it's... that it's making me do a jump attack. Right, we're at the end here. Oh, the ship is sinking. Fuck this. Fuck that Stalfos. Not worth it. Down goes the ship with the Stalfos on it. Stalfos goes down with his ship, as the old proverb goes. What we need to do eventually is cross over to that side, but we can't, or we can do that yet, but we don't want to. Instead, we go through here to a room of illusions. I mean, this whole dungeon is a dungeon of illusions, but hey, we've got a couple of Floor Masters around, but if we slap the Lens of Truth on, it's the old opposite of what Nintendo normally does. Normally they do, well, it means this is still an invisible maze, but it's... Oh no, this isn't even the opposite, this is just exactly an invisible maze. Except for the fact this time you can make it see it's not made of... You can make it see, fuck's sake. You can make it visible. It's not like made of fire or anything. Come the fuck on. I mean, it doesn't help that I just did the same thing 4 times in a row. Right, let's try this again. It is definitely, like, it is interesting with the Big Bronze Sword that it's a very different style of combat fighting without a shield, because it does make you... You have to be more jumpy, or you just have to do what I do and have a load of hearts and be an aggressive wanker because you can take it. Anyway, through here, now this is a strange one. If we target it, Navi says it's a Floor Master, except it's clearly not there. It's a fake Floor Master that you can only see with the Lens of Truth, which is very strange. I think it's the only case of an enemy which is like a normal enemy, which then only becomes visible with the Lens of Truth. I think it's the only one of such in the game that I can think of. Anyway, we get some shit for doing it. I keep saying this throughout this dungeon. There's a lot of small chests they give you, and they're all just full of... Oh, actually, no, that's a small key. Enough of my talking shit. That's what we actually need to cross to the other side. But even so, with that, we want to get some more stuff. So let's put the lens back on. And notice, yeah, there are 3 kind of ways out of this room. I do like how fast you move when you're doing the thrust from Big Bronze Sword. You kind of go, whoa, 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 and slide forward in a kind of triple maneuver. It's very, actually, like, you can be pretty bloody mobile in combat with it, which is, as I kind of was saying earlier, what you need because you haven't got a shield. You've got this nonsense rotating around here, but you can kind of ignore that, because basically, you can chuck bombs in it from above, and each one you destroy just gives you some shit, like rupees, or arrows, or stuff like that, or bombs. None of them, there's not actually anything useful for in there, so you can actually completely ignore it. I only came in here for the Skulltula. Now, as you'll notice from the map, there's one... Ooh, that's a wall. There's one final way out of this room, which is this door over here. As in, there's 4 doors that leave this room, and this is the final one we haven't checked yet. And this is a strange one as well, because you get these wooden things coming towards you, and it really looks like you think, wooden things are going to crush me, like in that part in Star Wars. So let's take them out with the fire arrows. Nope, fire arrows do absolutely naff all to them. You specifically have to burn them using Din's fire. Like, I could argue that it's like, oh, you gotta use magical fire for it, but I'm pretty sure fire arrows are also magical fire, so it's... I always thought that was something in the original version, like the N64 version. I kind of figured they might fix for this, but the fact they didn't implies maybe it's intentional. Anyway, the final thing we want over here is the special chest, which of course contains the boss key. I always call it the big key, because that's what it's called in Wind Waker, and I think in Twilight Princess as well. But in this it's not called that, it's just called the boss key. Anyway, with that, let's head back to the room where the ferry sank. And now we need to cross over. It looks like you might be able to do it if you run up there and hover. You try it as much as you can. I assure you, it won't work. What you need to do is, you'll notice there's a load of bombs over there, so I just kind of realised I'm quite low on hearts and we have the one fairy. So hopefully that won't become a problem if we set our arrows up and shoot one of the bombs. It doesn't have to be with a fire arrow. Oh, it does have to actually hit the fucking bomb though, doesn't it? How handy that that statue has a back shaped like a bridge. It could have just been completely flat and smooth, in which case, actually I suppose it still possibly would have worked. Am I going to bother? There's a way to get up there. Can't remember exactly what it is. It's just for recovery hearts, but I think at this stage that could almost be useful. Unless, does one of these contain a fairy? That's magic. That's the... okay. Well, either way, I think it's the sort of time that does this. Indeed it does. Yes, I am doing this just for recovery hearts, because I'm ridiculous like that. I guess Navi's filling up there as well, so Song of Time again, or let's try the Echo Song. Yeah, it is Scarecrow Song as well. Basically, so we are just approaching the boss now. There's only one more room before the boss. The boss of this temple is very strange. Much like, well, many of the bosses so far, he can output a lot of damage. He's relatively straightforward. We needed the key for this, by the way. Relatively straightforward, but can actually potentially output a high amount of damage. It's weird in that it tends to be over quickly, one way or the other, because he can output a lot of damage, but especially with Bigron's sword, can't take a lot of damage. So I may not have a chance to necessarily talk through everything I'm doing with the boss fights, because there'll be so much going on in such a short period of time. Things that I will say that are important. So, shoes off. Arrows, I want to take off fire, because we need arrows for it, but we don't. Fire doesn't help us at all. And I'm actually going to put the Lens of Truth on a button. Basically, the issue is using the touchy buttons requires me to take one hand off the controller. And I want both hands on the controller, but also be able to turn the Lens of Truth on and off, so putting it on a hard button, helpful that way. Time for a really freaky looking boss. This scared the shit out of me as a kid, and still kind of does now. Just think about what exactly it looks like. Down we go. Phantom Shadow Beast, Bongo Bongo! So it's Nintendo's classic thing of two floating hands and a floating body. So they are constantly drumming. Every fourth beat you'll get launched into the air, so take account for that when you're moving. You want to shoot one of the hands with an arrow, and then the other hand will move to attack you. Shoot that hand, throw up your Lens of Truth, you've now got a chance to target the body, shoot it in the eye, and wail on it with Bigron's sword. That may almost have done it in one. Like, you will probably only get through 2 cycles on this. If he starts damaging you, it could be really bad. But I think we should be okay here. Second one, ready, and then when he comes to charge me, shoot him in the eye! He didn't get him in time. As you see, that does quite a bit of damage there. He can really lay down a beating on you. You can attack the hands with a sword. You don't necessarily need to shoot them, but boy is it much easier. But I think his eye there you do need to shoot. And then there we go. Yeah, I'm very glad I did that briefing beforehand. Bongo Bongo is potentially an incredibly short boss, but can also fuck you up pretty fast during that time. And as I say, what creeps me out about it is it's really looks like a person. Like, if I put a picture of him up, it's a spinal column dangling from the fucking ceiling with, like, the hands have been cut off, and by the looks of where that fucking head hole thing is, it's someone that's been executed, and based on the fact there's a load of fucking torture devices down here. Yeah, this is basically, they never really talk about this much in the game, but it's talked about in the Hyrule Historian and stuff like that. This is essentially where the Sheikah used to torture political enemies of the royal family of Hyrule to get information out of them, and that's why it's referred to often as, like, Hyrule's dark secret, because no one talks about it's like their Guantanamo Bay or something, which is really fucked up, and of course, it's basically, that may have been its worst inmate. Bongo Bongo, ridiculous name, don't know why there's a drum down here, but he's somewhere between ridiculous and seriously creepy. Like, bit of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, really. Anyway, enough of my rambling, let's go through and meet the sage. We know who it is already, but you know. The boy with the noble Zelda's Ocarina. As I expected, you've come. I am Impa, one of the Sheikah. I am also Princess Zelda's caretaker, and I am also the sage who guards the Shadow Temple. We Sheikah have served the royalty of Hyrule from generation to generation as attendants. However, on that day 7 years ago, Ganondorf suddenly attacked, and Hyrule Castle surrendered after only a short time. Ganondorf's target was one of the keys to the Sacred Realm, the hidden treasure of the royal family, the Ocarina of Time. I mean, we already knew this. My duty bound me to take Zelda out of Ganondorf's reach. When last I saw you, as we made our escape from the castle, you were just a boy. Now I see that you have become a fine hero. There's nothing to worry about. The princess is safe now. Soon you'll meet Princess Zelda face to face, and she will explain everything. That is when we, the 6 sages, will seal up the evil king and return peace to Hyrule. I have to stay here. You go to Princess Zelda's side and... Zelda's side, good one. You go to Princess Zelda's side and protect her on my behalf. Now I put my power, which should be helpful to you, into this medallion. I'm going to talk about that at this point. The medallions had a much more prominent role in early versions of the game, like development versions, but they never really came into the final version of the game. Early versions of the game, and like beta demos, you would see the Shadow Medallion, by the way, suggested that the medallions were usable items. Please look out for the princess. And indeed, all the evidence suggests, and I think Nintendo themselves has pretty much confirmed this, they were used to warp, in the way that the songs became warping in the final iteration of the game. But there's definitely like early ones which show the early screenshots that show one of them, like the Forest Medallion, for example, equipped to the C buttons, and Nintendo kind of said that they were how you warped before the songs were developed, which is quite interesting. And it fits with like medallions being a usable item in Zelda games, like look at Bombos and Quake from Link to the Past and stuff like that. Anyway, we got one final sage to unlock now. It's got 4 of them, well 5 counting the Sage of Light, Rauru. Have you already thought about who Rauru is? I mean, we've met him obviously, but I don't want to say too much at this point. I will talk about that eventually. See if who gets my drift there. But the final sage we were told was inside a goddess of the sand. Let's head over to Gerudo Valley. So you'll notice I've also switched to the Goron tunic. While we are heading into a hot area, as in it's a desert, you don't need the Goron tunic here to survive the heat. Don't think of it that way. Just think of it as I like to mix up the colours that Link is. We've done one dungeon as green, one as red, 2 as blue, and then we're going to do the next one as red, and then the final one as green to kind of, you know, keep it balanced. We can vault this with Epona, but we can also cross it with the long shot. If you'd waited until now to do the Bigger on Sword quest, you can do it with the long shot, which means you don't need Epona for crossing this, but I think you do need Epona for just literally getting around the place fast enough. There are a couple of Skulltulas we can quickly grab here. There is one up on that wall here. Handy that it turned night just as I got here. And, well, do you remember this guy from last time? He was the one who gave us a broken... So technically this is his sword reforged, but let's just actually put it away. Oh, there we go. Hey you, if you're going into the fortress, would you mind finding out what my workers are doing over there? Yes, his workers were supposed to be helping him fix the bridge, but instead have gone to the Gerudo's fortress to become thieves with the all-female Gerudo race. So our goal for now, well, there's another skull, as you probably gathered from the fact I got it, is to head over there. I fucking love the Gerudo Valley music, so I'm going to make it daytime. Ah, there's another case where I thought the warp point through to here was much earlier than it is. I think it's there. There we go. So this is the Gerudo's Fortress, and we'll be spending the remainder of the episode here, and it's a bit of an unusual segment of the game, because, well, you'll see what happens if we head up here. Halt! Stay where you are! Stupid kid, get in there and keep quiet. I was going to say kid, but I suppose we are only 17, so yeah, technically still a minor. So, they have captured us, and so begins a stealth section. Fortunately, they kept us with all our weapons and gear, which perhaps isn't the smartest move of theirs. Time to do a little bit of stealthy-do. So, let's head in here, and we've kind of got, well, you'll see what our kind of actual goal is once we're in here. So, don't be spotted by any thieves, but there are none around here, so we're fine. Hey you, young man, over there! Look, here, inside the cell! And it's one of the 4 carpenters that have gone missing here. I have no idea where he came from, but you must have got a lot of guts to make it past all the guards here. All of my fellow carpenters are in prison, somewhere in the cave. Somewhere in here. I said, where did I get the cave from? My brain is a real weird place sometimes. If you can get us out of here, we'll repay the favour, somehow. But be careful, there's sure to be Gerudo guards around here somewhere. Whoa, watch out! And in the deed, I was going to say indeed and in, I don't know where the came from. Gerudo thief, when she drops her guard, attack. If you don't defeat her, you'll be captured. Indeed, if she defeats you, then you'll... That's the issue of fighting her with vigor on sword, is you can't shield, and if she knocks you down like that, hey! Well, let's head back there. Fortunately, it's just, yeah, you're in exactly the same place with the same gubs, so back in we go. So, the way to fight this thief is to basically be aggressive. If you try and just thrust at her, you can drive her into a corner. This is really not sounding great. And then if you just repeatedly thrust at her in the corner, you'll damage her. I really don't want to be saying any of these things. Why do I get the feeling this is going to come back and bite me in 15 years' time? Anyway, defeating her gets you a small key, which of course opens the cell. Did you come here to save me? Oh, that's just swell. I'm Ichiro, the carpenter. We were really interested in joining that all-female group, but they locked us up like this just because we're men. We don't care about the Gerudo anymore. They're so rude. 3 of my fellows have been captured, so please help them escape too. So, that's our goal for now, is to free the remaining 3 carpenters. Free 3 carpenters. Dr. Seuss said shit right there. So we came in through that way, so we're going to exit through this way. And we want to go straight through here. There are no guards immediately around. So here, I'm sure there are some guards around here somewhere. Oh, yep, there she is. So, here's one of the interesting things about this. You can stun guards with either the hookshot, or if you're feeling particularly nasty, you can do it with the bow and arrow. It doesn't kill them, it just does temporarily stun them, but we don't actually need to interact with that one for now as well. If we are up here, we then need to... Right, so there's one guard here, and she's very hard to sneak past. So I'm just going to wait here until she turns around. Then there's your moment, pop your head around the corner, and shoot her in the back of the head. Or right up the ass, apparently. Jesus Christ, I'm a terrible person. Head in through here. And up here you will find a second thief. Not thief, carpenter. And he says literally exactly the same as the first one, and much like the first one... Oh my god, watch out, there's a Gerudo thief. So do the usual one here, as I say. If you're just super aggressive with the big long sword, you can... I just need to stop talking so we can say, oh, if you're super aggressive and just thrust her into the corner the whole time. Okay, just one hit doesn't necessarily do it. I think she has to hit you in the right way, I suppose. But yeah, interesting thing about this, because this game has a certain rating. Not E for everyone, is it? Maybe. I think this is E for everyone. They can't show you killing a humanoid, because the Gerudo are people. If you defeat them in combat, they just, he says, these women are scary. I'd rather work as a carpenter than join them. I can't wait to say goodbye to this place. Two of my buddies are still being held. Yeah, because they're people, if you defeat them in battle, they just fly up into the ceiling, and if you shoot them in the back of the head, it just stuns them indefinitely rather than killing them, because you can't be nasty to sentient people in a game that's got that kind of rating. Anyway, here, what we want to do is, it looks like you should go through that door. And you can, but it's not actually the best way to do. We want to actually head down these vines, and then inside through this door. It's a bit of a confusing layout, this whole dungeon. We can head up that way, but we actually don't want to. Is it down here? Yeah, there we go. Here's our third carpenter. And he says and does the same thing, so speed her on. Worth knowing, the tactic I'm doing with them absolutely does not work, I don't think, with the Master Sword. It only works because of the ludicrous reach of the Biggoron Sword, that you can kind of basically get inside their guard with it. It's kind of one of the weird trade-offs of Biggoron Sword, because you can't be defensive unless you're being dodgy. You can't block or anything like that, so you do kind of have to be super offensive, but that also kind of works. So now... Oh shit, which way did I came in this way, didn't I? We actually need to leave by the same way we came in. Yes, there we go. So now we want to go to the door we were right next to when we got out of that one up ahead, which is this one to the left. And now there are two guards down here. When you're standing up here, they can't see you, don't worry. Take your bow and arrow out and do them both in. That's one, and... Come on, pop your little head up. 3, 2, 1. Oh, bloody hell, I thought I could target her. 3, 2, 1. Doink! Oh, God, I keep... Bot shots have really been... What? Who? Oh, that's so knobbish. Well, let's do all that again. I think I can jeb my way up there, though. Yes. That at least cuts a small section out. Ah, I'm back to exactly where I wanted to be. So from here, let's shoot that one, and shoot that one down there. Bugger. Come on. Oh, can I get shooting the ponytail from there? Yes, I can. Right, let's just hop straight across here and ignore this. Once you're down on this level, I can do. And as you can see, they've got, like, stunned markers around their head. Oh, you were the one who did me in last time. Get fucked. They've got, like, stunned markers around their head, but they are stunned until you leave the screen and come back, so there's no worry about them waking up. It's just because, yeah, you can't kill them, because E for everyone! Despite the fact there's fucking flaying racks and dead hands and fucking bongo and shit like that. Anyway, once we're up here, we need to head out. Oh no, we don't head up there. We weirdly head down to this section, so this is a bit of a strange one, because there's no way to get to this other than to jump down. It seems like a really strange place to build a door. Anyway, draw your bow and wait here, because if you just try and proceed out into the corridor, something will fuck you over. Take my word for it. Her! She's the one who'll do it. And we want to go exactly where she came from, but you've got a very narrow window there to do her in, otherwise you'll be bollocksed. Anyway, you know how this dance goes by now. I nearly said game and dance at the same time, so I said how the dance goes. Good one. For rescuing me, I'll tell you something interesting about the desert I overheard the Gerudo talking about. They said in order to cross the haunted wasteland, you'll need the Eye of Truth. The Colossus is on the other side of the wasteland. So... this is worth knowing, that so you can technically, as with any of these, do this at pretty much any time. You'll need either a Epona or the long shot to cross the valley. Oh, by the way, Gerudo talking to us. I've seen your fine work. To get past the guards here, you must have pretty good thieving skills. I used to think that all men, except for the great Ganondorf, of course, were useless, but now that I've seen you, I don't think so anymore. The exalted Nabooru, our leader, put me in charge of this fortress. Nabooru is the second in command to the great Ganondorf, king of the Gerudo thieves. Her headquarters are in the Spirit Temple, which is at the end of the desert. Say, you must want to become one of us now, hey? Alright then, you're in from now on. Take this, with it you have free access to all areas of the fortress. So we got the Gerudo token, which means, A, we can move around the fortress unhindered, and secondly, there are two little things we can do, one of which we actually can't do. Well, we can do it for now, but it's not very successful. So we'll talk about that later. The other one I will actually talk about next episode anyway, but yeah, you can do this anytime, because you just need either Epona or the long shot to cross the bridge in the valley. So as long as you've done part of the water temple, or... I mean, you can get Epona as soon as you become an adult, so you can get over here and you can do all of this. But to proceed on through the desert, you need the Eye of Truth, and you really do need it. I think it's technically possible without it, but I've never seen it done. Speedrunners, maybe, we'll do it that way. But anyway, we've come here to Gerudo Valley. Well, we defeated Bongo Bongo and got the Shadow Medallion, and now we've come to Gerudo's Fortress, where we've become a member, so now we can walk around. If you talk to the Gerudo, they all say the same thing. Around, you're free to come to go... Yeah, for a couple... Try that again. From now on, you're free to come and go as you please through the gate to the deserts. You'll find the Spirit Temple, where the exalted Timburu lives out there in the desert. And they all say that. Next episode, we'll be doing the one thing, basically, for now that we can do in Gerudo Fortress before, indeed, heading out through that gate over there to the desert. Thank you very much, and good day.